Tell me about the wine business of your father, Larry. It sounds so romantic. I think of deep lights dancing in straw-bound bottles of good old wine, and the wine casks stacked row on row in great underground wine vaults beneath some ancient monastery.
Well, as my father taught it to me, it is romantic, Betty, but it's big business, too, complete with exchange quotations and speculations in various vintages and growths.
Well, Lawrence, suppose we just concentrate on the romantic aspects. Is this Bordeaux wine you brought us?
Yes, a Medoc from the Medoc Vineyard District in Bordeaux. Notice its light body, medium color, and strong flavor. Wines of Bordeaux, you know, date back at least 20 centuries in history. Great Latin poets have sung their praise.
How fascinating.
Yes, but now we Americans have purloined many of the famous names, such as Sauternes, Burgundy, even Champagne, for our American wines.
That's not quite right. I think we Americans carry appropriation of names too far. I say let us respect the 20 centuries of tradition that have grown up in France around its wines. American businessmen are no respecters of tradition.
Business is business.
Yes, and it branches out into 10,000 lines, some quite shapely. For example, statistics reveal that 920 million pairs of nylon stockings were made and sold to clad the female leg last year alone. That's big business.
Now, if you want statistics, here are some from my own advertising agency. You know, last year we spent more than $1 billion on cosmetics, all to prettify the female face. And another $1 billion on watches and jewelry. That's big business, too.
Cherchez la femme.
What?
Well, that's French, Bob. It means look for the woman. In other words, there's a little lady lurking behind our gigantic sales of nylons, cosmetics, jewelry, practically everything else, from washing machines and apricot-colored automobiles to diapers, Kleenex, wall-to-wall carpeting, and rubber plants.
The ladies, bless them, also run up most of the telephone bills.
AT&T should thank the ladies.
Well, we men are consumers, too, helping our economy along. We buy the toys for our kids. We drop $500 million in tips behind us on the tables when we leave the restaurants with our ladies and our arms each year. I wrote an article on that once for the Post.
I thought you were connected with the motion picture industry, Bob.
I was, but then TV came along and I began writing for that. I can spout reams of figures, though, about the colossal movie industry. Did you know that one of the first story pictures, The Great Train Robbery, was only 800 feet long, and it was shown in frowsy Nickelodeons for, guess what, a nickel?
Oh,
Now, movies are big business, too, although they're fighting for their life against the competition of the new Colossus television.
More figures, anyone?
boys, hold it. Enough. I'm dizzy with figures.
No, you can't stop me now. The annual payroll of American radio and television manufacturers exceeds $1 billion. Their annual revenue tops $15 billion.
Bob, Larry has me breathless with those astronomic figures. Make him stop. Otherwise, he's going to go on, bringing in the farmers, the insurance people, the automobile makers, and then, of course, there's always Macy's, Gimbel's, and Tiffany's. Never forget Tiffany's. And what about the wedding gown industry? Business. It's so romantic. Especially when my shares in Coca-Cola go up and up and up.
Hold it, Larry. Hold it. The lady wants a Coke. It's the pause that refreshes. Garçon, a Coke for Betty.
This is Ray again. While our gay young friends, Betty, Bob, and Larry, engage in the pause that refreshes, I wish your attention just for a second. Now, whoever would have thought that business could form the subject for such a blithe and bouncing conversation among three attractive personalities at a party? Wine and cakes and punch were being served to a room full of guests who eddied around from the fireplace to the hi-fi corner, then back to the punch table. But this conversation did occur pretty much as it is repeated here. I heard it myself, and I listened carefully as I sipped my own punch, intent on remembering it for your benefit. You, too, may learn to converse just like that if you play these records. Learn the new words to enrich your vocabulary, and remember just a few facts, mixed with a dash of humor. Humor always is welcomed and proper in any season. Here they come back now. Betty, she's frocked in a lovely off-the-shoulder white chiffon, caught up at her narrow waist with an Alice blue sash to match her wide heaven-blue eyes. Bob, sturdy, tall, and tan, and Larry, urbane and reserved.
Larry, there's one business we did not mention before. Sports. Baseball, for example, has been big business since Casey struck out with the bases loaded.
There are many stories, some poignant, connected with baseball. Have you ever been to the Polo Grounds in New York, Bob?
Many times. Why?
Well, next time, you stroll across the field after the game to the center field exit. There you'll see a granite shaft erected to the memory of Eddie Grant.
I've heard of old John McGraw, Babe Ruth, and Joe DiMaggio, but I never heard of any Eddie Grant.
That's the point, Betty. He was a fine baseball player, a gentleman who never horsed around in the locker room, and a hero. But not a hero at the Polo Grounds. He left the game before he could ripen in his baseball career into a great, and he enlisted in the Army. That was way back in 1917. He was one of the first to go overseas to France, and he became a captain. One day he led a band of volunteers to help find the lost battalion and bring them out of the Argonne Forest back to our lines. 250 American doughboys were rescued when Eddie Grant and his volunteers located them, but Eddie didn't return. He lay dead on the forest floor. His body was recovered, and on it they found a bullet-pierced map case. The hole was at the exact spot, latitude and longitude, where Eddie Grant, Gentle Eddie, died. Some pretty good men in baseball.
Yes, and in other sports too, Larry. Both on the field and off. Women stand out, too. Betty, did you know there was a woman jockey only a few years ago out in California?
No.
She was a mother, Wantha Davis. They used to call her Wonderful Wantha out at Caliente. I did a feature article for United Press about her some years ago. She was demure and chic, but she used to say, "On the back of a horse, there's little difference between a man and a woman."
Oh, I'd love to meet her. She sounds like quite a special person.
She is.
Interesting, isn't it? How some people get into the strangest jobs.
Yes, well, some women like cooking, some like dancing, some like music, pop or classical. Wantha had her own special brand of music that she liked, hoofbeats.
Oh, no.
She told me that she adored their thunderous melody pounding down the stretch like a Beethoven symphony reaching a crescendo. I called my piece about her, "Mother is a Jockey." America produces a lot of original people.
That's why the show What's My Line has been so popular. People in their varied lines of work provide endless interest.
Well, we know what your line is. You sit in a swank Madison Avenue office all day and write the commercials that clutter up my TV shows. And you scribble those fancy ads we see with slogans like, "My friends laughed when I sat down at the piano," and "The pause that refreshes."
It seems I've heard that slogan here tonight, at least once before this.
Well, let's suit the action to the slogan.
Good.
Now, wasn't that a wonderful conversation on sports? And wasn't that phrase like a Beethoven symphony reaching a crescendo? Impress your friends? And there are so many other colorful words, phrases, and ideas on these records. But you must practice conversation just like anything else. Now, here they come again, bubbling Betty, clinging with her right arm to Bob, the lad who writes TV scripts. And on Betty's left arm, Larry, Madison Avenue's most brilliant advertising executive. But underneath his sophistication, Larry is a romanticist, and personally, I think both of these fine American boys, old friends you know, are head over heels in love with the petite Betty, whose ruby lips match the deep claret that sparkles in her wine glass. I wonder which lad will take her home tonight. I myself can't figure out which one she really favors. Let's see what happens now. I know we can count on conversational action.